Have you ever met someone who appears calm, confident, and in control, yet deep down feels a quiet ache they can't quite name? That's often the unseen story of the dismissive-avoidant attachment style. It forms when closeness once felt unsafe or unreliable, teaching the nervous system that independence equals protection. But emotional distance isn't peace, it's survival mode. And healing begins when you learn to trust connection again, to let yourself need without shame, and to see vulnerability not as weakness but as courage. Because your attachment style isn't a flaw, it's an adaptation. And awareness is the doorway to authentic, lasting love. A story of silence. There was once a boy who grew up in a home that valued strength over softness. When he cried, his father said, "Be strong." When fear showed in his eyes, his mother said, "You're fine." Love was present, but it was measured in meals, rules, and routines, not in warmth or words. No one asked how he felt, only if he'd done what was expected. So he learned to hide his emotions neatly, like toys placed back on a shelf. As he grew, he became capable, steady, independent, the kind of person others could always rely on. But inside, he lived behind invisible glass. When people asked, "Are you okay?" he'd smile and say, "I'm fine," because needing comfort once led only to silence. That's how dismissive-avoidant attachment takes root, not in cruelty, but in emotional neglect that teaches the heart that safety lies in distance, and self-reliance is the only way to be loved. What is dismissive-avoidant attachment? Dismissive-avoidant attachment wears the mask of emotional independence, the quiet belief that I'm fine on my own, even when a small, hidden part of you aches to be understood. People with this attachment style often appear strong, capable, and composed. They take pride in self-sufficiency, relying on logic when emotions feel messy or unsafe. They value control and stability, but struggle to express or even recognize what they truly feel. Avoidance doesn't mean a lack of emotion. It means the nervous system learned to silence it. It's not that they don't care, it's that caring once felt too risky. 2. The core beliefs. Beneath the calm, composed surface lies a quiet set of rules. Emotions are inconvenient. Dependence is weakness. If I stay self-sufficient, I won't be hurt. These beliefs weren't spoken aloud. They were learned through years of observation and silence. They watched adults who rarely said, "I'm proud of you," and instead said, "You did what you should." When affection was replaced by expectation, connection began to feel optional, even uncomfortable. So they learned to retreat into competence, to find safety in doing rather than feeling, and to measure worth through control instead of closeness. Because in their world, success felt safer than vulnerability, and love was something to be earned, not simply received. 3. How it develops. Dismissive-avoidant attachment often begins in homes where emotions were brushed aside, minimized, or quietly ignored. Caregivers may have been loving through action, providing meals, structure, and guidance, yet rarely paused to ask, "How do you feel?" In these environments, independence was celebrated while vulnerability felt inconvenient or weak. A child quickly learned that sharing sadness or fear led to discomfort or dismissal, not comfort. So they adapted. If expressing emotion pushes people away, I'll stop. Each moment of emotional rejection became a silent lesson in self-protection. And over time, that detachment turned into instinct, the nervous system's way of staying safe by trading closeness for control and connection for calm. 4. The inner world of the avoidant child. Imagine a small child trying to share something sad, a broken toy, a lonely day, and hearing, "You're fine, don't be dramatic." Each dismissal teaches them to shrink their feelings just a little more. They stop asking for hugs. They stop crying when it hurts. They stop needing, because needing leads to disappointment. They survive by numbing, by learning that silence feels safer than rejection. But inside, those emotions don't vanish, they freeze in time. And as they grow up, life becomes an echo chamber of competence without connection, achievement without intimacy. Avoidant attachment isn't a lack of love, it's love that never learned how to speak its name. 5. Adult patterns at work. In the workplace, dismissive-avoidant individuals often shine. They're independent, self-reliant, and remarkably composed under pressure. They value efficiency over emotion, logic over vulnerability, and structure over spontaneity. Their calm focus can make them excellent leaders or problem solvers. But when stress builds, isolation becomes their coping strategy. They withdraw rather than reach out, avoid feedback that feels too personal, and find teamwork challenging when it requires emotional openness. Work becomes their safest stage, a world where effort is rewarded and control feels secure. Because success won't abandon you, but people sometimes do. 6. Adult patterns with friends. In friendships, dismissive-avoidant individuals are often loyal, steady, and dependable, but deeply private. They're the listener, the problem solver, the calm in the storm, yet they rarely let others see their storm. They offer support easily, but struggle to receive it. When emotions run high, they tend to retreat, preferring distance over discomfort. To them, taking space feels natural and necessary, a way to regulate and reset. But to others, that space can feel like rejection or indifference. It's not that they don't care, they care deeply. They've just never been taught that it's safe to stay when feelings get real, messy, and human. 7. Adult patterns in romantic relationships. In love, dismissive-avoidant individuals often attract partners who long for closeness, sometimes those with anxious attachment. At first, they seem calm, grounded, and secure, offering stability that feels safe and soothing. But as emotional intimacy deepens, their nervous system interprets it as danger. They begin to pull away, changing the subject when feelings surface, going silent after conflict, or convincing themselves they're better off alone than emotionally exposed. Their partner feels neglected and confused, while they feel pressured and suffocated, both caught in a dance of fear. What appears as emotional detachment is often a defense against vulnerability, a protective mask worn by someone who once learned that closeness could cost their sense of safety. 8. Red flags to watch. You avoid talking about emotions or feel numb when someone asks how you feel. You prioritize logic and independence over closeness or connection. You tend to withdraw or shut down when conflict arises. You feel uneasy or burdened when others depend on you emotionally. You tell yourself, I don't need anyone, yet deep down, loneliness lingers. These are not flaws, they're protective adaptations. Each one formed to keep you safe in an environment where vulnerability wasn't valued and emotions felt inconvenient. Recognizing these patterns isn't about blame, it's about awareness. Because what once protected you doesn't have to define you forever. 9. The turning point from armor to awareness. Healing begins with permission. Permission to feel, to need, to be human again. For someone who's spent years in emotional armor, this step can feel unfamiliar, even unsafe. But awareness begins in the smallest pauses. When you hear yourself say, I'm fine, take a breath and ask, what am I actually feeling beneath this? Learning emotional language is like physical therapy for the heart, slow, tender, and built on repetition. You strengthen what's been dormant through gentle practice, not force. Therapy, journaling, mindfulness, these become bridges that reconnect your inner world, translating sensations into emotions, and emotions into words that finally make you feel sane. 10. Building emotional connection. Practice naming feelings. Start small, words like sad, tired, frustrated, relieved. Each label turns confusion into clarity and helps your body feel understood. Invite vulnerability. Share one genuine emotion a day with someone safe, not to seek reassurance, but to practice being real. Stay present in discomfort. When emotions rise, resist the urge to fix or flee. Just notice and breathe through it. Redefine strength. True strength isn't the absence of emotion, it's the courage to feel it without shutting down. Connection grows through emotional literacy, the gentle, patient unfreezing of the parts of you that once learned silence was safer than being seen. 11. The secure version of you. Imagine being able to say, I need help, without shame or hesitation. To give love and feel it come back to you, fully received. To stand on your own, yet still stay emotionally alive and connected. The secure version of you doesn't abandon feelings, they welcome them as information, not threats. They know that vulnerability isn't losing control, it's gaining depth, trust, and genuine intimacy. This version of you no longer confuses peace with distance. They know that true strength isn't built on isolation, it's built on safety, openness, and emotional truth. When independence softens into connection, strength finally feels peaceful, and love feels safe to stay. If this message resonated with you, remember, detachment was never your personality. It was your protection. Healing dismissive-avoidant attachment means learning that emotions don't make you weak, they make you whole. You can reconnect with the child who was taught to hide and tell them, it's safe to feel now. I'm Nori and my AI twin sister, Nora, sharing reflections on attachment, healing, and emotional restoration. If this video brought you clarity or hope, please like, share, and subscribe. Because when we reconnect with our feelings, we don't just find love, we finally feel it.